Hello, how are you? I hope you're having a great day. Today I decided to do a biographical book. Biographies and histories are among my favorite books, and I have quite a few of them. So rather than dealing with other topics and then ending up with a whole bunch of biographies at the end, I'll make sure to space them out so they're done gradually. There will be more books on, of course, history, sociology, one or two on biology, philosophy, and of course some fiction. But today, the biographical work is The Trouble with Harry Hay by Stuart Timmins. Harry Hay, whoops. I'll show you the front of the book now. The Trouble with Harry Hay by Stuart Timmins. Well, did you like seeing the back cover? It's fascinating. Even better when you see it right side up and not upside down. Um, Harry Hay is credited with being one of the founders of the modern gay rights movement. He was gay long before gay was gay. He was born in 1912, died in 2002. Ironically, my grandmother was born in 1912 and died in 2002. And in my mind, I've contrasted her life decade by decade compared to Harry's. And of course, they were quite different. Being in the mid 1920s, when Harry was about 14, he lied about his age, got a card as a merchant sailor in their union so he could work on ships. And when he was 14, he met a sailor. And in his words, in Harry's words, he molested that adult man until Harry, learned everything he needed to learn about gay sex and being gay because he recognized he was homosexual. His father was not poor. I don't know how wealthy he was, but he was not poor. But Harry didn't look on his childhood very fondly because his father would beat him for anything he perceived as, wrong. In hindsight, Harry later thought that it was because his father saw his son being effeminate and was trying to stamp it out of him, which didn't work. In the 30s, Harry joined the Communist Party, not to be a Stalin type of communist, but to be a Lenin type of communist, where you work for the good of the worker, to make sure everyone is being treated fairly. Things like unions, etc., he was strongly in favor of. He had different partners for different years. He married a woman. To try out being heterosexual, and that was when he was part of the Communist Party because they were not in favor of homosexuals. So he tried being married. They adopted a couple of kids. By the early 50s, Harry had to admit to himself and to his wife that he was homosexual. She was quite angry and divorced him. He, however, sent her half of his paycheck for the next 12 years until their children were fully grown-up adults. He wasn't required to. He just did that because, in his mind, it was the right thing to do. In the 50s, he and some others founded the Mattachine movement, which was one of the groups that formed in the 50s and 60s and led to things like the Stonewall riots, and after that to various different types of gay rights groups. In the 70s, as more gay men started to become more muscular and work out, and he didn't like that because he felt they were trying to fit in. Whether that's correct or not, that was his opinion. So he and some other friends formed the Radical Fairy Movement, and that's Faerie, Fairy Movement, where gay men would meet out in the wilds and talk about their lives, have life experiences, to try and come to terms with what it meant for each of them to be gay in 2000, towards the end of his life, he and his partner moved to San Francisco to get better health care because they were aging. And he was the Grand Marshal of the San Francisco Pride Parade in either 2000, 2001. He died shortly after. A couple of years later, on the groundbreaking TV show Queer as Folk, in season 4, episode 2, two of the characters go off into the rural area to join a bunch of radical fairies and try and come to terms with issues they're having in their lives. One of them builds a stone circle, and this old man shows up to help him. And as they're talking, you realize he's talking to Harry Hay. Later, you realize it was a dream fantasy rather than reality, but it was quite it was well written and really well done, and it gave anyone watching a chance to see the kind of impact that Harry had on gay men, not only in the USA, but really all over. So that's The Trouble with Harry Hay. Can't put it down kind of book. Fascinating. And for a groundbreaking man, he was working in every decade of his life to help define and move forward the cause of gay rights. So thank you for joining today. Have a great day. I look forward to the next book review.